We are a team. As storytellers and dreamers,
there is always magic to discover.
Once upon a time,
a Las Vegas showgirl
and a comedian magician
figured out that even with different perspectives,
our adventures and experiences together
are really just
one big caper.
Welcome back to One Big Caper. I'm Phelyx. This is my partner Athena. This is your discovery of us. We are show folk who try to navigate life in suburbia sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
We live in the suburbs.
We live in the suburbs. And it's weird, and we stick out because we both spent our entire lives in show business.
Yep.
Showbiz.
You're still in there.
I'm still in there.
Well, I guess I am too because I do this. But...
Yeah, this is still showbiz.
Okay.
It's a little different for us. It's considerably more casual than we are used to, including the fact that these are unscripted chats that we have. We go with a prompt and carry on.
Yeah.
And today's prompt is one that I coined or I wrote down. So usually, we love listener suggestions. If you have any of those, you can reach us. But I realized many times over the years how much I get paid in privilege as a result of being an entertainer.
I think we need to explain what that
do.
means because the word privilege has some loaded.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's certainly a buzzword
issues.
These days, understandably.
Yeah.
Justifiably.
Uh-huh.
What I am talking about is the fact, for example, that I don't believe I paid for a drink a few years in a row. I don't believe not just when I was working, but I don't believe I paid for drinks for a long time.
So you got shift drinks, what they call shift drinks.
Shift drinks or, hey buddy, let me buy you a drink. A lot of that.
Nice. Yeah.
That's one of the great privileges, I suppose. But
yeah.
Even as a result of my appearance, which we've brought up in the podcast before, I get upgrades, whether they're airline upgrades, which are less frequent than they used to be, or upgrades at hotel.
Yeah.
I stayed at the Rio All Suites, and they put me on the top floor because I was wearing a bow tie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice view of the strip. I can still picture that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's that.
That's that. Thanks for listening. It's interesting, but I wonder how much of that is in compensation for how little we get paid.
That's what I was wondering when that thing came up today. And I was like, oh, I wonder if it's going to come up today because we're talking about this thing. Like, we get paid in privilege, but I don't think it's the same thing. Or I don't think it might be connected, but I doubt it. I think that the payment in privilege is because of appreciation of us as artists, not the fact that we are starving artists.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It's just kind of a divine intervention.
Possibly.
Just a little compensation or balance.
A drink.
Yeah.
Well, so ways that I got paid in privilege as a showgirl, we used to get to see all the shows that were opening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back in the day when it was like a showgirl show at every hotel, they would, of course, all go see each other. It was a very tight knit community. The show people back in 70s into the 80s, when corporate took over and the mob left, that's when everything changed. But I heard, the headliners, they would, like Sammy Davis Jr., Liza Minnelli. I can't remember all of them. But on the Showgirls Life podcast, several of my guests talked about the privilege they had, going into Studio 54 for free, no cover, never having to wait in line, things like that. They never had Studio 54 didn't exist, which there were nightclubs that they're probably closed since, but they never had to pay. They always got bumped to the front of the line if they were in the shows. even the restaurants, if you were a show person and you walked in there, you got treated like a celebrity. That's how it was for them. By the time I came along, about 15 years ish after the mob fell, corporate was more solidified. We didn't get those kind of privileges. A little bit, some of the nightclubs, but it wasn't. They didn't care about the showgirls after a time. They were just like, yeah. And then they were a dying breed because they, by the time I was in the show, there was only 2 showgirl shows left. And so I felt we should have been treated better, but we weren't. But I did get to see Ka, Celine Dion, at the Cirque du Soleil Ka, Celine Dion. I got tickets to any of the traveling Cirque shows that would come through and put up the big tent. So I think I saw Dralion, I think was one of them. And then the one about the horses, or is that Dralion? I can't remember. There was 2 I saw in the big tent, even though they had full theaters of, Mystere and O. But we got to go to some of those shows. Not all of them, but there were, kind of like industry nights. And they would have like all of the show people on the strip. But back in the day, it was just like I heard Sammy Davis Jr. would do an extra show just for the show people. After having done 2 shows, he would do an extra show just for the show people because he loved them. He knew he was there at one point. He was, a little bit, and of course, he was a person of color too, trying to make it in the entertainment world. So he showed his appreciation and gratitude for where he is by giving to the show people.
Yeah, he was very generous.
Yeah. So those are the kinds of things that we got as production show people back in Vegas.
That's another thing.
Back in the day,
it occurs to me. My friends are entertainers, largely, and so I haven't paid for a concert in years.
I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, I open for some of these bigger bands too, so sometimes the theaters remember me and just give me privilege.
And he just walks through without a ticket. I don't know if you can do that anymore. They're all on your phone, like.
Yeah. Well, if I'm recognized, then they pass it. Trouble is, for years there, I was always booked when my friends were performing, so we didn't. It's difficult to see each other's shows when we're all on stage at the same time.
Because you can only perform on certain nights. Most people don't go to concerts on a Monday or Tuesday night. It's a school night.
Right. In Denver, for the last 20 plus years, I would say, so back into maybe the mid 90s, so that's longer than 20 years, but Thursday has been a big night to go out in this market, which has always mystified me.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think that they're just like, I'm going to stay out late on Thursday and
pay for it on Friday.
Pay for it on Friday, and then I can sleep on Saturday. Like maybe. I don't know. I never understood it either, but it's the same in Vegas. It was the same. The Thursday night was the night to go out, like all the clubs. And for us, it worked out because as a showgirl, because our dark night was Friday. And I don't know why that was. Like, it didn't make sense. I was like, people go out on Friday, but our dark night ended up being Friday nights.
It could be a competition thing. Right now, there are officially 240 shows a night
in Las Vegas.
That's how many choices people have for entertainment, which is why it's why I get the advice from other magicians, for example, don't even bother. Don't, like, you're going to be out of pocket so much for marketing to get any butts and seats at your show. It's not worth it.
Wow. What happened to Vegas?
240 shows. That's how many choices you have. Yeah.
There's not even that many hotels. What? I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand Vegas. I really don't. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about getting paid in privilege.
Yes.
So why do you think we get paid in privilege? You think it is connected to how poorly we're paid as entertainers?
I don't know. Is there some kind of divine balance? Like, I finally crossed a certain line where I don't get paid too poorly for what I do.
Well, yeah.
But I get just as much privilege. So, so maybe there's no relationship there.
What other privileges do we get?
Well,
as
remember,
entertainers?
when in the before times when we would go out to a restaurant or whatever, we would get a lot of comps. Because I knew the owners of the restaurants.
Right. We'd get a free appetizer or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's nice. It's
No,
nice.
I know. But like, you get that for complaining if there's a bug in your food, too.
But I'm not that jerk.
What if you find a hair or a bug in your food? Does that make you a jerk? We're going off topic. Sorry.
I don't know if my friend owns the restaurant and I find that. It depends. I don't know. I think that would be case dependent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we haven't been to a restaurant your friend owns in a minute.
Well, it's because we're not downtown as frequently as we used to.
That's such a trek.
Yeah.
Going downtown to go just to grab a dinner. It's a 3-hour ordeal.
It's a commitment.
Not that it's bad. I could just hang out with this guy and make out and stuff like that. What other privilege do we get?
I get to travel as a part of my job.
Right. So we have never, and I think we talked about this in one episode, but I don't think we've ever gone on a vacation.
No, we did have an accidental vacation because I was booked in San Antonio, and I bought the plane tickets and everything, and they canceled last minute.
But I still did a show. So that still was a work trip for me.
Right. Well, we scheduled that show because we were going to be conveniently in the same area-ish.
No, that was the festival.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't it?
No.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we did schedule a work thing. So it didn't end up being a vacation because it was just the last leg of the trip.
The first and last. You don't remember?
No. Anyway, it still wasn't a vacation.
It was paid for because as part of my contract, if we get too close and I'm already committed and I already have the plane tickets, they got to pay. If they cancel too late, it's going to cost.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we've never planned a vacation where we're not going to work and we're just going to go vacate our lives for whatever.
You're
so
right.
We get to travel. That is a privilege of being an entertainer. We get to travel. Okay.
Yeah.
What else? I can't think of any right now. My brain is shut off.
I think that, and I've seen other entertainers do this. It can be bargained with or manipulated with, and I never want to be the "do you know who I am" person.
Do you know?
Yeah, that's gross. But I've seen it done, and I've certainly seen some of my attractive entertainer friends use that, and maybe for the free drinks or whatever, but they take advantage of it, and I guess it comes with the territory.
I guess. I don't know. I guess that's different because then you're initiating the "do you know I am" versus what we just got. Hey kids, you get to go see We Will Rock You at the Paris. Here's your tickets.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So I get to see the Queen.
A lot of my celebrity friends I've met as a result of being in show business, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of a privilege to even have access to certain people.
To people, yeah, for sure. Like the Vodka people.
Well, Devotchka is a fantastic band that I've known for many years. So back when I was in the art gallery business, we were able to hire Devotchka to play the art gallery for a few $100s.
Ooh,
yeah,
really?
They weren't famous yet.
Wow.
So yeah, my relationship goes that far back.
Okay. All right. Wow. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. That's cool. Nice. I'm trying to think of any other privilege, cause no, because I've always been a performer.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to think like, okay, free drinks, woohoo, tickets to shows. Like musical theater people would love that, but then they're already in the industry. Can't think of anything else though. There's not really a lot that anyone can give away for free anymore,
That's true.
even to art or
If
entertainers.
so, now think about this: if you're an entertainer who is of some kind of social influence, there can be a lot of products and bribes and that kind of thing to include certain things on stage or in social media. That's a world that I have not explored, but
Well, I think I've been booked because people thought I had a huge social media following, which is sad. Like, oh, it's not because I'm a good performer. It's
that's
because
what it takes anymore.
which is it sucks that it is this way, but it's because the whole world thinks social media is the only way to market, and it's not. Because we did it before social media. Remember?
Remember?
You don't remember. He doesn't remember.
Well, I do. I worked in the music industry a lot in the 1980s and 90s.
Yeah.
And this was back when the venues would do the promotion.
Right.
Flyering on cars and posters, and the venues paid street teams.
I don't think they pay them. Like lately, one of the venues I saw, I can't remember what event it was I was doing or part of or something. They had street teams, and the compensation was a ticket to the show.
Well, but that's not the same era that I'm talking about.
No, it's not. But they did. They used to
Now
pay.
it's the bands who have to do the
No, I know, but
marketing.
this was recent. This was like within our relationship, but I can't remember what show it was. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know why it changed, and that I think we should do. Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
We can do an episode.
Yeah,
about
let's do an episode about it. That's good. Getting off the subject again. We're just having a hard time with the subject. Did we beat it to the end?
I guess. Well, maybe we don't at this point have much more to say about it, but I do acknowledge that over the years I have been paid with some privilege, and it's been nice, and I don't take it for granted. I don't expect it. There are certain expectations, I suppose, that I would have of someone who's hosting me or an organization hosting me. I have certain expectations, but those are detailed in my writer.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Oh.
They're not like demands. I'm not saying that I want only green M&Ms or any nonsense like that, which I can explain why that ever happened in the first place. But
is that a juicy bit?
You want an explanation for that?
Yeah, that could be a juicy bit.
Okay.
If you know that, if it's true. But I was just going to say that a number of times he's done events, they've tried to feed you, and you refuse to eat.
I don't eat with the guests. Yeah. And I think that started because I've always tried to know my place, if you will. So I've always imagined myself as a servant of the event, right? So it's not that I won't eat with the guests because I feel like I'm on a different level, save for the fact that if I'm on a different level, it's
below the guests.
Yeah.
That's the starving artist mentality, I think.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how it used to be. They would go in the back door.
Right. And I've done that gig.
Yes, you did that. That's our first hell gigs.
I'm starting to feel differently. I don't want to be that guy and do you know who I am? But starting to realize that I'm not a servant, I guess.
We're in service, but that doesn't make us a servant.
Right.
And that's even hospitality and service industry people. They're not servants either.
Right. I agree. I agree.
So, Juicy Bit.
Okay, yeah, we'll lay this on you. This is just it may be an outdated reference, but I remember even people who aren't in the biz talking about the green M&Ms in the dressing room and that being a demand on a hospitality writer. It is true that it was stipulated that the certain color of M&Ms were to be separated and put in a bowl in the dressing room. And the reason we do that, entertainers, mostly bands, and for that matter, mostly the A-listers. I can tell you that Bill Cosby had a version of this on his writer, which was a little excessive, but whatever.
Why are you bringing that
busy.
guy into
Yeah,
the
I know,
podcast?
I'm just
He's
trying to
another
think
good
of people I'm aware of who have
Julia
these ridiculous.
Roberts had some interesting ones, but I don't remember exactly what they were. Who had the green M&Ms?
I believe it was David Lee Roth. I believe that's who it was. Here's the reason. It's just so when you go in the dressing room and you see a bowl of green M&Ms, you know your contract has been read, your writer has been read, and they have done their best to accommodate everything on the list, and you can relax.
Huh.
It's just a visual signal that, okay, good, they read it. That's it.
That's brilliant. You had an interesting writer for, what's the name of that band that you orchestrated their reunion?
Oh, yeah.
There's another Juicy Bit.
Yeah, they traveled with an entourage. I did orchestrate a reunion for Christian Death. I think I can say that. So we put them back together, and their writer was very peculiar. They shipped equipment ahead of time, so it was a custom guitar, and there was stipulations about how that was to be stored, which I kind of get. Temperature and humidity controlled environments. So that makes sense. But it also stipulated that on Tuesdays it was vegetarian enchilada night for their entire entourage.
I have a really good vegetarian enchilada recipe.
Well, I would
so
send
good.
it, but I don't think that their whole band is alive anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just so that they know their contract was read.
As soon as they see that bowl of green M&Ms, they can go, okay, this is going to be a fine one. They read it.
Really?
Yep.
I want to put that in a contract so I can make sure it's read.
It makes sense now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was always a story told, legendary story told from person to person to kind of make fun at how picky or prima donna some entertainers can be. But
the story about Julia Roberts too,
right?
Because I can't remember what it was, but after Pretty Woman, there was some things that came up, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's a prima donna now,"
No, there's a reason for it.
Okay.
And it makes sense, right? It's totally logical.
Totally logical. Mm-hmm. How funny. Yeah. The privilege of being a performer. Because you can't go into a job. I mean, maybe you can these days. There's so many jobs available and they can't hire anybody and keep anyone in a job because I think it's a gig economy. But you can't go in there and be like, well, I will only work there if and this and that. You can't do that.
True.
I guess, is it only entertainers that can do that, or public speakers maybe? I'm trying to think of anyone else who could say, I need a bowl of green M&Ms on my desk every Monday morning.
Not just entertainers, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tony Robbins can do it, right?
Oh, but he's a public speaker.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm sure. He's a celebrity.
Yeah.
All right. I think I feel complete now. We have 2 juicy bits. And good. Yeah, I feel good. I felt good about this one, even though I only contributed 1 tiny piece. I'm as soon as I edit it, I'm gonna look up the Julia Roberts one.
Okay. I'm
and I'll just put it in the description because it's bugging me now.
I'm curious.
I remember all the hullabaloo about it. Yeah.
As always, we want to hear your stories and questions. Reach us any old time at hello@onebigcaper.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can't keep doing this without you. Give us just a little bit of your time by subscribing, sharing, rating, or talking about One Big Caper with someone else. We really appreciate your help.
We want to hear your stories. Visit onebigcaper.com to get to know us even more.
All of the audio and visual digital media associated with One Big Caper, in whole or in part, is the property of Gazellus Productions, LLC.